Thank you, Mr. President. This session, more than ever, we've made some real progress in restoring the Great Recession cuts in funding and stabilizing the K-12 budget. Progress that didn't seem possible at the beginning of this year. We passed a bipartisan legislative extension of Prop 301 with a supermajority vote, proving that yes, we can be bipartisan. This eliminated the fiscal cliff that schools were facing. This budget provides millions, hundreds of millions in raises for teachers, a front-end loaded district additional assistance restoration, something I've been working on with my friend Heather Carter for a couple of years, $105 million in inflation funding, building renewal funds, and as my colleague Senator Peterson said, totaling more than $540 million in new and restored dollars to K-12, comprising the largest increase in K-12 education spending since the Great Recession, according to the Arizona Education Association. This budget is a victory for our students, educators, our schools, and some education groups now opposed to the budget were either in favor or neutral as of yesterday, and I have to admit I'm very confused. 4 hours before we started debating the budget, Red for Ed and AEA decided 20% for teachers wasn't enough. The fiscal impact of the amendments that subsequently were presented by my Democrat friends are unknown. There was not adequate time to analyze their impact to our budget. And while I liked some of these amendments, I am not prepared to pull funding away from the developmentally disabled, the arts, the vulnerable populations, or the seniors, all of which are also funded in this budget. Over the past 2 weeks, I've answered question after question about sustainability. Is it sustainable? If we had adopted the amendments that were presented tonight, that would have jeopardized spending. It would have not been sustainable. What we did tonight, we found a way for it to be attainable. This budget represents another positive step forward, but there's a lot of work left to do. I will continue the stakeholder meetings I've commenced to reboot and revamp the new Prop 301, update the buckets, add additional funding to provide additional sustainable funding for K-12 community colleges and universities, and package that along with other needed education reforms in a voter-protected initiative. With the energy provided by the members of the education community and the support of Arizonans and Arizona businesses, if we all pull together, we can get this done, and I am not going to stop until I get there. It has been such an honor and a privilege to meet with hundreds of educators this past week. I've listened to their stories. I've shared their concerns. I told them about how I got started in 1997 as a Moon Mountain Elementary mom who joined up with 2 other moms to form a legislative advocacy group called The Bottom Line, to go down to the Capitol and tell our legislators we need more funding for K-12 education. That led to service on the school board for almost 10 years, service on the Arizona School Facilities Board during a $1.2 billion deficiencies correction era, and an equal amount almost in building new schools. Over the last 8 years, during the worst recession we've known in our lifetimes, I've fought for and we have won billions in K-12 temporary funding and funding restoration. This is a long process. We debate, we change, we fix, And importantly, and not enough, we compromise. Not our values, but we compromise to find a better way to make better policy. I look forward to continuing to meet with constituents, including parents and teachers. I look forward to visiting schools, talking to business owners about the future of our district and state. This is a huge step forward. And with that, Mr. President, I vote aye.
Senator Brophy, Senator.